Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to the Special Report, your news and views program about geek gaming culture on the internet. Coming up in this show today, BadFly Interactive tries to bully a small game journalistic website into giving them a favorable review of Dead Effect 2, and Matt Cohen Studios gets smacked down by Valve after it has been revealed that they created multiple accounts in order to give their game positive reviews after threatening to DMCA Jim Sterling's video about Art of Stealth. My name is JD Shadow, and the Special Report starts right now. Call Connected, which is a video game website, had gotten in a peculiar email from BadFly Interactive, the developers of Dead Effect 2, a zombie shooter game on Steam, and it seems as though they did the one thing you shouldn't do. So peculiar that you have to think there's another reason as to why they were as blatant as they are. Sean Patrichuk, I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, got this peculiar email when Call Connected wanted a review copy of Dead Effect 2 from BadFly. Their creative director, Lubomir Diecast, I think I'm pronouncing that right, sent a code via email with a note. Now, the note at first doesn't seem all that peculiar. It is the second paragraph, though, that is getting all the attention. Let's first talk about the first paragraph because there's nothing completely suspicious about this. It says, quote, "Let me just mention one thing though. This is an indie game which, unfortunately, is very often compared with big budget games. And that's quite a problem and very much damages its reputation in final ratings. Please take into consideration the fact that this game was created by a small team of 11 developers who just tried to develop a good shooter game. And that's about it. Unfortunately, a number of journalists have other much bigger expectations from it, and that's very damaging for us eventually." And to be quite fair, that's kind of true that a lot of video game journalists will compare a indie game to a AAA game, and sometimes that hurts that indie dev that doesn't have as many resources as the AAA guys do. That in and of itself isn't the bad part. It is the very next paragraph that is the problem. It goes like this. "Also, we're working on several other games that are definitely interesting, and if your review or preview of Dead Effect 2 is very negative, you will not receive any keys from us in the future." Who does this? Who goes out of their way to say something like that right there in an email? And then, first of all, not think that anybody that is getting this is not going to say anything to the public. People are more aware of this now. People are more in tune with this now. We're not going to tolerate things like this anymore. And something this blatant and this upfront about what they're going to do if you give a negative review of their product, not just a unfair review, not just a review that is based upon something that's not even in the game, but just negative review outright. Just a negative review without any other asterisks connected to it. They're not going to give you any more keys? Why? What is the point? Why do they feel the need to do this? I mean, granted, Dead Effect 2, when you look at it on Steam, has kind of mixed reviews, and at least one review right now seems as though they got wind of this situation. So, of course, Call Connected is not going to review the game, and rightfully so. Why would they want to review a game by a developer that is willing to go out of the way to basically blacklist a game news outlet, a game reviews and news outlet, if they don't give them a favorable review? Why would they want to do that? Why would they put their neck out like that? Why would they want to risk their livelihoods doing something like that? Well, quite frankly, I don't think that BadFly Interactive, them not getting a game from BadFly, is going to hurt their reputation in any sort of way. I've never heard of this company before this whole story broke. But again, I gotta think, who does this? And this is why there are some suspicions going around that are saying that this is a publicity stunt, that this is something to drive up awareness about the game. But here's the problem with that. This is the worst kind of publicity you can have. Everybody keeps saying that any publicity is good publicity. Not in this sense. Not only are people more aware of this, you will draw more attention this way, but this will drive people away from your product. They don't want people doing this anymore. They want for game review sites to be more honest, to be forthcoming with things like reviews or things like previews and what they actually think about a game, and not to cater to things like this, to not have sponsored content, to not have these kinds of issues anymore. They don't want game companies to do it. They don't want game journalists to do it, period. They don't do that. You just don't. And that is the bottom line, period. That is it. That there's no other asterisk to it. You don't do things like this. You don't make a publicity stunt based on this. You don't make this into a publicity stunt. This is as serious as it can get. Don't do it. And here's the biggest thing. There are some people out there who actually do like this game. There are some people out there who are enjoying Dead Effect 2. They have no reason. They have no reason to do anything like this. To not try to manipulate anybody like this. To not try to bully anybody like this. Especially a smaller website to bully somebody like this. They have no reason. They don't need to do this. Why do they feel the need to do this when they don't need to? I don't understand the mentality here, and that's why people are suspicious as to maybe this is a publicity stunt, but this is the worst kind of publicity stunt you can possibly have. Now, this could be just one person acting alone and not having the other 10 developers or whoever else is involved in this in on doing this kind of either publicity stunt or bullying. And let's hope that it's not all 11 developers that are in on this, because if it is, then this is going to bring BadFly in a bad light. And it should. And no one should applaud anything like that. No one should. And Call Connected did what any journalist, well, what any responsible journalist should do. Not going to name names, but anybody who has followed the gaming journalistic scene recently will probably understand where I'm going with that statement. Should and would do in a situation like that, to publicize it. Why do they think that no one's going to go out there and not say anything, to get something like this and not say anything? This is probably what BadFly Interactive, if this is a publicity stunt, is wanting Call Connected to do. But if that's the case, and this is the one argument against the notion that this could be a publicity stunt, why go to a smaller site like Call Connected? Why try to bully somebody like Kotaku or Polygon or IGN or The Escapist or anybody like that? Somebody who has more of a reputation at being more well known. No disrespect to Call Connected, not taking anything away from them, because they're the people that brought this to the forefront. But why go to a place that not many people know? Why not go to a website that everybody knows? I mean, the only thing that I could see is that perhaps they thought they could just bully the smaller news outlet, but apparently they were wrong here. Maybe they were completely wrong. With a website like The Escapist, you know probably they're going to say something, that they're not going to bow down to something like this. They're going to say something. And because many people do read those news outlets, many people do still read Kotaku or Polygon or The Escapist or any of those other people. And many people do watch Total Biscuit or Jesse Cox or any of those other PC gaming critics or Let's Players. They are not going to put up with that, and they are going to say something, and that makes me think that maybe this is actually a person who's actually is trying to bully a smaller outlet into giving them a good review. But the problem is that, again, smaller outlets are not going to put up with that either. And if they call them out on it, on something like this, which a lot of people are paying attention to anymore, this is not something that's down in the underground now. It is something that's widely known that game companies will do this, especially indie companies. AAAs are not immune to this sort of thing. But indie companies seem to think they can get away with this, then guess what? It is a smaller outlet that gets recognition for calling it out by bigger people like Total Biscuit, like bigger outlets like Kotaku or The Escapist. Guess what? It is Call Connected that wins in this. Regardless, BadFly loses on all fronts, no matter how many ways you try to cut it. They lose in this. And the only thing they can save face is by somebody else coming in and saying, hey, this is a mistake. We don't do stuff like this. We're going to make sure that this person is reeled in and is given a 411 about how we actually operate, and we do not try to bully anybody into giving us favorable reviews. And I would suspect somebody should and probably will, if they care enough about their reputation as a video game company. Remember that Digital Homicide tried this very same thing with Jim Sterling, and guess where they are right now. BadFly, you don't want to become like Digital Homicide. Learn from that and don't do this. Reverse this before it becomes even more of a problem. COG Connected is more well known now because of this alone. The only people you helped is COG Connected. The only people you hurt is yourselves. And no, a publicity stunt like this, assuming it is going to work. At least not in the way that you're expecting it to. And more along the lines of things that video game developers shouldn't do department. You know this little game called Art of Stealth? You remember what's been going on with it? Jim Sterling posted a video about Art of Stealth, more like art of being a load of crap, and I watched about 5 minutes of this video, and that's enough for me to say that the game is utter garbage. No need to play it because Jim Sterling did it for all of us. Well, the developers of the game were going to sue Jim Sterling, trying to outright say they were going to DMCA the video off of YouTube. Now, you don't remember what that means. If you DMCA something, YouTube is forced to take it down through the safe harbor laws, and that has been leading to people abusing that system as a direct way to stifle criticism about products by using that DMCA loophole. And they know the loophole's there, and they are fighting to make sure that they can keep that loophole. Be quite honest, WTFU is a great thing indeed. Where is the fair use indeed? They said, quote, "I'm just putting the following link here for everyone to see. We are currently taking with the YouTube support about this issue." Well, broken English for the loss. Jim Sterling has no respect to software engineers who learned programming in university for 5 years and worked hard to create a good game. Jim Sterling has no self-respect. He is going against YouTube rules and trying to damage a small team, which is a new in the industry, a pathetic bully. That's called criticism, dude. You might want to be able to handle it if you're going to be in the video game business. And 3, Jim Sterling calls our work load of crap. That isn't his right to do. You have no right to tell him not to do it. He doesn't respect our attempts to make a good game. Good game? Have you watched his video? Have you seen the first couple of minutes of what is the trailer B-roll of that game? With the narrator sounding like that he was using a load of mothballs in his mouth to get over a hangover? Is that what you call a good game? He simply makes money by discredit other people's works. I am not going to be a grammar Nazi. I'm not going to be a grammar Nazi. I'm not going to be a grammar Nazi. I wonder if this worm can actually write a single line of code. I wonder if you can write a single freaking sentence completely. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. The Art of Stealth team with "This is not the end. This is only the beginning" in big blue letters so you can make sure that you read it. Well, Valve decided to lay the smackdown on Cohen Studios. The reason being is that not only were they flagging negative reviews on Steam, that was amazing in and of itself, but they were using multiple accounts to give themselves positive feedback and positive reviews on Steam. According to Jason on January 17th, saying concerning Art of Stealth, this is on a Steam community post, saying, quote, "We, Valve, have identified unacceptable behavior involving multiple Steam accounts controlled by the developer of this game, Matane Cohen. The developer appears to have created multiple Steam accounts to post a positive review for their own game. This is a clear violation of our review policy and something we take very seriously. For these reasons, we are ending our business relationship with Matane Cohen and removing this game from sale. If you have previously purchased this game, it will remain accessible in your Steam library." Yeah, that was gonna happen, was it? Yeah, for some people who were doing all of this stuff to try to keep negative reviews off of any website, YouTube, Steam, whatever, you had to think something like this was going on. You had to have thought that, okay, this was way too suspicious to be able to think that, okay, any positive review for this thing had to be suspicious. Because they were not only trying to flag negative reviews, not only were they trying to go after Jim Sterling, but now they're doing this. One, has anybody watched that video? First of all, as I said, that narrator sounds like he needs to go back to sleep. Second of all, those graphics? Holy hell. Oh my god, yeah, that was not a good show in any sense of the imagination. Now, let's be quite honest, you can say what you want about Jim Sterling. Of course, he's very controversial. Of course, he says things and does things that many people might love and some people might hate. He is kind of a polarizing figure in the video game industry. A lot of people are, especially those people that will use sarcasm and use snark in order to get their point across and are very opinionated, as me or Total Biscuit or Jim Sterling is. They can be very polarizing because they are not afraid to say what they think and not afraid to anger a few people along the way. But when you go after somebody because they criticize your product, this is something, again, as I said with BadFly, you don't do. You just don't do it. Yes, you can fix your game. Yes, you can still say, hey, they're wrong about your game, and yes, you have a right to do that, but don't use the DMCA takedown system on YouTube to do that. As easy as that is, you know what happened to Fun Creators? You know what happened to Wild Game Studios when they tried to do that to Total Biscuit? Do you know what happened there? Do you understand anything that's coming out of my mouth about that whole idea? Because quite frankly, none of that resonated with these people. None of that resonated with the Art of Stealth team, or whatever they're calling themselves. Because, wow, to not only go through the process of trying to censor any negative reviews, but to be that desperate of a video game developer, to be that desperate for a positive review that you would make multiple accounts just to give yourself a positive review? And what would you say about that game? What would you say that was in any way positive? I only needed to watch 5 minutes of Jim Sterling's video to know that that game is utter trash. It should never be on Steam at all. It should not even touch Steam. It should not even touch a computer. I'm afraid that game is going to wreck my computer. I'm afraid that game is going to blow it up, okay? That is as close as I ever want to be to that game. Is Jim Sterling's video, which I gotta say is as accurate as it can be. Again, Digital Homicide tried this very same thing and got burned for it. What makes you think your attempts at doing the same thing is going to be any different? People are more aware of these things now, and they are going to call you on it, regardless of what side of the fence of any controversy they are on. They agree on one thing. Things like this, bullying, people who criticize your product and should criticize your product because your game was utter BS, trying to sell this thing for any amount of money, is not going to fly. It is not. It is just not. And this proves it. Valve will take action, and you should expect them to take action. And if they didn't, then they are foolish to not do so. Wow, what in the name of all that is holy made you think that they weren't going to find that out and weren't going to say anything? I mean, what you said to Tech Raptor about this whole thing before you went on about Jim Sterling, that was something that you should have said, but you should have stopped with that a few game updates will come out shortly and fix every single issue with the game. You should have just stopped there and not even bring Jim Sterling up. You should have just stopped. Why do these companies feel the need to do this? The way that you stop negative reviews is to make a good game, is to have care to your products, is to not put crap on there to begin with. If you put on crap, you're gonna get crap reviews because you deserve it. Just make a good game. Just take the time to do it right. Don't put up garbage up there and expecting us to buy it and expecting for us to have good reviews for it and to not call you out on it. Because it doesn't work that way. It just does not. And the more people reward these kinds of companies, the more people are going to do it. Kudos to Valve for nipping this in the bud. But did you expect anything different to happen here? Did you really expect anything different to happen? Right now, I'm expecting the More You Know star and the NBC logo to be shooting up across the sky around my house right now. That's how much people should know by now. To not do stuff like this, it never ends well. Ugh. that's gonna do it for this edition of Special Report. Thanks again for watching. If you liked it, the like button is down below, and of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so for more geek gaming culture. I try to put out as many new videos as I possibly can, and I hope to Christ that my videos are far better in quality than this game was. My name is JD Shadow, and that just happened.